Hello, my name is Smith Milner, and I'm a software architect working in the professional services space. Today, I'll be showing you what ScopeSnap is and how it can help your team. So, let's start with the problem. I made this tool for myself after repeatedly scoping out projects during the pre-sale cycle. Often, I was given loose notes from the sales team and like a number to hit, like a budget or something. So ScopeSnap's actually not meant to replace proper project discovery during the project's lifecycle. The goal here is to provide enough information for an agreement to take place and the project to actually start. So that's the space we're working in here. And that's where I encountered challenges. So I would try tracking scope items in a spreadsheet, associating sales notes with particular items, knowing when I really needed to go back to a client for clarity, or maybe the client had already answered these questions to the sales team and it was just opaque where they were. Particularly long sales cycles would sometimes have these like mystery requirements that would creep in, and no one really remembered where they came from, or perhaps there was turnaround on client side or agency side, and that kind of tribal knowledge can get lost. And the worst is copying and pasting back and forth between a spreadsheet and ChatGPT. You can imagine pasting a list in and then getting a totally different list back, and you've just lost all sense of continuity, or it looks the same and you can't really tell what it did. It's just not a good experience. So, that said, let's take a look at ScopeSnap. So, first thing I'm going to do here is log in. We have auth here, so I'm going to use Google to log in. No thank you, 1Password. All right, so the first page you're going to see is a create your org page because organizations are how we do multi-tenancy. I've already gone ahead and prepared this Acme agency, and but you would see it create a new agency, create a new organization form. So uh, you have to basically choose who I want to act as here. So I'm going to say set active. And we're going to see the top items now are projects, clients, contexts, and org settings. And these are all within the scope of Acme Agency. If I had more than one, I can actually switch between them with this. First area of interest would be the settings page. So we're going to see kind of what we can play with here. So in our organization, first thing is our estimation unit. This is mostly a label. Right now, I estimate in story points, but some people use hours, some people use days, some people use hot dogs. So you're free to choose what you want. The default is story points. And then next would be default project roles. So when you're scoping out a project, you should say what role each task is for, and that will really help later on when you're doing staffing and you want an understanding of how to staff this project. You can override this at the project level. This is just sort of org-wide defaults. Okay, so after that, I want to show the context page. So we use elements of AI in the project, and there are going to be multiple layers of context that are combined together here to try and get the best possible output. So the first thing here is context from the organization itself. So from and I'm imagining if you're a software agency doing, say, bespoke software projects, it's going to be stuff like preferred tech stack or architectural preferences or delivery details, things like that. So I'm going to add one of a piece of context right now. We do have some options, so you can just paste some text in here or link to a URL as long as it's unprotected, or file upload. So my preferred method is the file upload, and I'm going to choose organization processes here. So this is just a list of preferred tech stack and delivery philosophy and things like that. And I'm going to hit start there. So that is going to get processed. into a vector database for reference later. While that's happening, I am now going to go over here to client. So clients aren't necessarily required, but you can have multiple projects assigned to a client, and so it's a middle layer of context where you can include details about your client that aren't necessarily project specific, but you want to reuse them. So maybe your client's business domain or things like that. So I'm going to make an Acme client uh, right here. And if we go inside, we're going to see another layer of context right here. And I'm going to do the same thing. So I do have a mock context for client details, and that includes things like how clients operate today. So now that's working. If I go back and check the first one, it's now finished, so this is working. And I'm going to come back here, and this one should be done. So we now have both our org context and our client context set. We are now ready to make a project. So project is kind of where the magic happens. I'm going to kick off our amazing to-do project here. It is part of the Acme client group. These roles are inherited from the org settings, which I showed you earlier, and we can hit start. So this is what a blank project looks like. I'm going to hop right over here to context right at the beginning, and then we'll go through the rest here. So from a project context, we can actually see references to org and client, but there is project-specific context as well, and all three are combined. Now, projects cannot see into each other's context, though. That's important. It's kind of a top-down hierarchy. So in our example here, we have a transcript from a mock sales call, which I'm going to add here. And once that's processed, we can then go to this AI tab here and ask it to do an initial population of our project, which does take a few minutes. So I'm going to kick that off and then show you the rest of the interface while that's working. So I just want to make sure, yeah, okay, that's processed. All right, so now generate an initial scope backlog from our sales call. Okay, so that scope is being combined from the org, from the client, and the project, and it's now working to generate an initial set of scope items. And it's going to show us what changes we think we should make here, and then we're going to approve them. While that's happening, I'm going to open a new tab here and walk you through it. So for the scope interface, it's a table with collapsible epics in it. We'll have titles, role for each thing, a type. So that's like, what kind of scope item is this? Is this a feature? Is this an integration? Things like that. And then high and low for an estimate. Now, I'm not prescribing what I think these estimates are. They will come back, but as a technologist at this point, your role should be to add your opinion here in this estimation column. The tool is providing structure to give you a way of, is this scope complete? Are we missing things? Where is the risk? Do I have questions? But I don't even know, is this hours, is this days, is this story points in this column? So the important part is for you to weigh in the high and low. Next tab here, so we have statements. So statements are a way of announcing things about the scope. So what are our assumptions that have to be true for this scope to make sense, and what is definitely out of scope. So when we actually show a report at the end, assumptions and out of scope are included, and they are important. Next is readiness. So is my scope ready to give to the sales team to show the client. Main things we're looking for are things like structural completeness. Does everything have an estimate? Does everything have a level of risk? Uh, if that's all good, what is the risk? How many items are in low, medium, high? And what percentage of it is what? I think it's okay to have some risk. And then beyond that, we have uncertainty. So there's this question systems here. So you can actually record your questions, and the AI can see this, and you can work with it to try and see if these questions are answerable based on context, or do we need to go back to the client? All right. So going back to our AI tab, and we can see that it has returned an initial um, scope. So it's going to start with epics. They need to be created first for tasks to go inside. And I can actually choose to approve or reject particular changes here. I'm going to scroll all the way to the bottom. So these are create scope items. Um, and then at the bottom, we'll see some statements here. So these could be assumptions or out of scope or things like that. And this is all based on um, the context provided. And I'm going to hit apply. Okay, so now that that's done, I'm going to go back to the scope tab, and we're going to actually see there's now content. So it made 15 items across six epics. Um, and these epics are usually organized into coherent groups. Like in our to-do app, for example, we have auth, we actually have the list, we have task management, filtering, activity log, things like that. And these are all based off either preferred tech stack or um, the project's actual transcript. So one of the interesting things here is, say, this one here. So email, password, login via Superbase Auth. In the project context, we just said we want to be able to log in, but it's in the org context, our preferred tech stack said Superbase Auth. And if I actually look in here, we can see where in the context we drew this information. So our organization processes said, let's use Superbase Auth, and our sales call said we need to be able to log in. And that's how it's able to combine these two pieces of context into one scope item, and we can tell where the details came from. So, and that is very powerful, being able to trace that back. Now, what if we need to make a change here? So if I wanted to, I could say that we're missing auth login. We're missing social login here. So I'm going to actually go back to the AI tab, and I'm going to say we need to be able to log in with Google. It's going to actually adjust the scope based on that. And you can work back and forth and like iteratively improve on your scope. The more context you have, the longer it'll take. But um, sorry, that's my dog. Okay, so here it's creating some scope items for Google OAuth login. It's updating email and password. We should go review what that says. And then it's adding another statement here. So we had a statement saying no public self sign up. So it's going to be adjusting that, saying with Google OAuth added, the assumption should clarify that while self sign up is disabled, Google login is allowed for admin provisioned accounts. I see. So I'm going to hit apply there, come back, and we can see our now OAuth login system is applied as a new task. So going from scope, we're going to take a look at statements here, and we can see several assumptions. So um, no public self sign up, for example. So this is what we were just looking at. We can see soft delete. We can see what's out of scope. So no email notifications, no reoccurring tasks, no CSV export, things like that. These can actually be linked to specific tasks if they need to be. So you can link them to epics or scope items. And then if we go back to the readiness tab, we can see a breakdown of is it ready? What questions do we have? And so we do actually have two questions. Should task be automatically reassigned when a user leaves the company? Things like that. And questions can be open, answered, or discarded. And now in the end, say we're happy with these questions or they've been answered sort of offline and we're happy with how this works. Let's publish it. Let's take a snapshot of what this estimate looks like today. And it's just going to record everything as is. And that includes a breakdown by role, the scope itself, the statements, so assumptions and out of scope. One thing that's not included here is questions. And that's because you should be able to take this and show it to a customer, and the customer should be able to sign off on it, say next to a contract or something like that. And um, we don't want to be surfacing questions for them at this point. We want to show them what our assumptions are and what is out of scope, and we want the client to say, yes, that's right. If we're happy with how this works, we can actually export to CSV, and it's just going to export these scope items in a solid list, and you could say use that as your initial backlog in Jira, or however you want. You can keep it for safekeeping. If you choose to keep iterating on the backlog and making more and more changes, you can end up with a case where you actually have uh, 2, 3, 4, 5 versions of the scope, and you now don't really know which one is the most recent or the best um, or the one you want to use, and that is a bad place to be, especially when people disagree on it. So I've added this publishing feature, so it's version. So if I hit publish again, we actually get 2, and these are fixed. You can't change them anymore. If I were to export one or the other, it's going to say version 1, version 2 right in it. And so it should be very clear what was in and what was out in any given moment. So um, that said, thank you very much. I hope you found this interesting and I hope this helps. Thank you.